Alright, how you guys doing tonight? So, hopefully that recorded okay. If it didn't, whatever, I'm just gonna run with it. So, this is my recent lyre. Some of you guys know, lyre, lyra, depends how you pronounce it. 7-string, kind of based off the Kravic lyre. It's a black walnut back with a red cedar top that I made this myself. I crafted it myself. The body's made out of pine. This anchoring point here is a piece of polished goat antler. This too is black walnut, so is the bridge. It's a 7-string. It's just strung with guitar strings right now. I don't really have access at the moment to actual lyre strings, but these do suffice. They don't quite sound how they should, but it does make sound, and so I've just been playing with that lately. It's my most recent build. But anyways, I'm gonna make this quick because it's about, I think it's about 10:30 at night right now. Actually, it's late. I need to be going to bed soon. It's the far north, so it's fucking light out. Excuse the language. Start trying to clear that up too. So anyways, today I'm going to be reading you a passage from Our Traditions. This is Our Traditions in a Pagan, Mythological, and Cultural Perspective by Vegard Solheim. Now, I've read a little bit of this before. I read some of this to two parts already. 2 different chapters. I'm going to read a 3rd chapter for you guys. And this is a book by Odilsarvin. As you know him, he has a BitChute and a YouTube. Highly suggest you look him up. And he made this book in 2018, but it was only in Norwegian. And he recently got around to translating it to English several months ago. So I picked it up. I've been reading it, and so far I've been pretty impressed. So what I'm going to be doing for you guys today is I'm going to be reading about a upcoming holiday. It's a holiday most of us don't know about here in America. Apparently in Europe it's still a thing. Excuse me. Let me see. It was... There we go. Okay, so this is about Pentecost. This is Skóklafallsdagr. Skóklafallsdagr. If I'm pronouncing that right. My Norwegian pronunciation isn't very good, so bear with me if I pronounce anything funny. And then also bear in mind that Vegard here, he translated this himself, and English isn't his first language, so if it came out a little funny, I mean, that's kind of why. If I find something that kind of sounds off, if it's not me making a reading error. That's probably what it is. So, anyways, here we go. For most people, Pentecost is only a few days off in the early summer. Few know the newer Christian message. Even fewer know the original pagan message of this holiday. It is ancient and far older than what one calls Pentecost in Christianity. The word Pentecost comes from the pagan Greek word Pentekosti. My Greek isn't good either. It's Pentecost with an E at the end, which means 50 days after Oster, which is Easter. Therefore, this holiday is moving and follows the time of Easter, according to the lunar cycle. Originally, this holiday fell 50 days after the first summer day. Oster fell, as previously mentioned, on March 21st, Volborg night, and Cuckoo Day fell 40 days after. The sowing season after Skóklafall, which is Pentecost, fell 40 days after the Valborg celebration. The 40-day date, as known, represents a woman's pregnancy cycle, or rather the length thereof. Excuse me. Some allergies. Just bear with me. Okay, so the 40-day date, as known, represents a woman's pregnancy cycle, the duration thereof, and are related to the festival's continuous cycle and nature otherwise, and in line with the previously mentioned 3 overlapping cycles for reincarnation. Thus, according to our original calendar, the festival falls in the month of Glitnir, which is glittering or shiny, home of the god Ty. He says Ty, T-Y, and I'm pretty certain is talking about Tyr, as we know in the English-speaking world. I'm certain it's Tyr, so I'm going to go ahead and just refer to it as Tyr, and or Forseti. The month is also called Stektid, or Eggtid, which is egg and lamb month, respectively, with the zodiac sign Tvidborar, or twins. On June 3rd, it is Skóklafallsdagr. Excuse me, let me repronounce that for you guys. Skóklafallsdagr. This was a specific pagan celebration day, since our ancestors were now finished with the spring preparations. Now the plow on the horse was removed, hence the Norse word skokla, which means plow. Skóklafall means fall of the plow. The traditional food of this day was skakagrøt, which is a seed porridge from sowing. In Snorri Sturluson's Heimskringla, it is also mentioned that veal steak was the food to be eaten. Little bugs everywhere. The thing about summertime up here is there's bugs everywhere. In the winter, not so much, but anyways, back to it. Even older sources confirm the same. This day was also called the Fish Day, and is marked on the Primstaven with a fish. The day was to be dedicated to fishing. In pagan times, this day, and the period until June 9th, was important. When it ended, it was called Kolbjorn med Laxen, which means Kolbjorn with the salmon. We celebrated that the salmon now go up into the rivers to spawn again. This is something that I understand, living in a far northern region of the world. It's a big event. It really is. It's a big natural cycle. And anyways, I don't want to go off on too many tangents here. That is why the pagan assemblies, or the ting, which started at Bjornvaka, which I previously read about, should also end now, and the day is therefore also known as Ting Fersoka. Firsoka, I believe. There's an accent over the E. Which is the day you leave the Ting. The summer begins on this day and lasts until Sista Hundegag, which is the last hound day, which is August the 23rd. In mythology, more specifically in Gylfaginning, we can read that the gods are furious at Loki and try to catch him, after he was responsible for Baldur's death, which is the death of the sun or light at the autumn equinox. Loki stayed home in the mountain cave with 4 entrances and stayed there at nighttime. But during the day, he turned himself into a salmon and hid in the Franangar waterfall. Loki pondered on the different ways the gods could catch him when he swam in the shape of a salmon. He began to make masks of linen thread he processed during the nighttime in front of the fire. It went toward dawn, and he slipped into the shape of the salmon again and swam into the waterfall. But the Asir went to his home and found the net he had made of the linen thread. Kvasir, meaning the best essence of all gods. Kvasir possesses the poetic mead, which is a personification of the intellect itself. Understood that this was a tool used to catch fish. The gods therefore made a fishing net to catch Loki. The gods fished for Loki in the waterfall and below. Thor, which is the personification of gravity and willpower, steered the net from one side, but Loki always escaped, either between rocks or by swimming by swimming up the waterfall. The gods attached stones to the net so that Loki couldn't escape, and Loki tried to bounce over the net. Thor grabbed hold of him and squeezed. By the way, the only way you can catch a slippery salmon, Loki, properly in practical life. The myth in Gylfaginning is about the forces of nature, the intellect of man, and perhaps also how to learn how to catch fish in ancient times. The myth is also the telling of the reincarnation process. The myth is also symbolically and structurally compatible with other interpretations. We recognize all the components across all the myths. For example, Loki as the adrenaline, or the swimming, the mountain as the mother's life or womb, the element water and fire to be trapped or hooked, where Loki always does it according to the magic numbers for a pregnancy's length, etc. The more recent and Norwegianized Kjorborn Medlaksen is related to Thor and the myth, a myth that was very likely to be passed down orally around the ancient fires during this festival. According to the mythology, the sky god and the month are represented by this natural force. He is Odin's equivalence and possesses Odin's attributes accordingly. Tyr is the god of war and a masculine force. He is also called Forseti, which is the balancing power, justice and nature's balancing restoration. The forces are also represented this way. Tyr represents the righteous warrior, Odin represents the strategic warrior, and Thor the primitive and ruthless warrior. That's why all 3 of these guys are attributed to being gods of war. You'll often hear somebody say, oh, it's just Odin. They have a god of war of Odin, but no. It's these 3 guys and probably some other deities and personifications, if you will. Anyways, let me get back to the actual book here. The forces are also represented this way. Tyr represents the righteous warrior. Oh, this is what I already read, but oh well. Odin represents the strategic warrior, and Thor the primitive and ruthless warrior. All the forces are represented in Tyr, and they are all natural and necessary. Should have put on some bug dope. Anyways. Tyr's feminine counterpart is logically the goddess Jord, Earth, daughter of Nut, and Anar, the night, and second, time. Second in the context of time, I suppose is what he's trying to say here. In order for a seed in the soil to germinate, the feminine Jord and masculine powers, balanced from above, sun and rain, or Tyr, are needed. It is therefore logical that Thor is the son of Odin, Tyr's equivalent, and Earth. He is the protector of men. He is the, quote, farmer's son, archetype himself. He is a picture of you, and the myths about him are also about how you came into being when you again retrieved your hammer, your heart, and your life force. Our pagan festival was a feast for crops, that planting and sowing was done for the summer and fall. Tyr, Earth, and the sun's masculine and feminine forces work together for new life now. As we know, all life and chemical reactions are based on these three basic elements: earth, water, and fire, O2, H2O, and H2, which is actually the original Trinity. Interesting. This Trinity appears throughout our mythology in the form of gods with various masks, or kennings. Kennings would be things in poetry that are related, but almost like a nickname for something, or a analogy, if that makes sense. The traditions surrounding the celebration seem to be similar to those during the Valborg night. Allfather, ancestral fire, was burnt, and May King and Queen, the chief couple who were democratically elected after competitions, renewed their marriage vows. It was also common to hold a Brageskal, a toast of Brage. Brage means brave. He is a god in our mythology representing bravery, honor, and poetry. They raised the horn, made a promise of great deeds for the current year in the presence of witnesses, and drank. And here they have some art too I'll share with you, just so you get a feel of what this book is actually like. It's there's some illustrations in here, and it's a great book. I can't stress it enough, guys. I mean, if you're interested in this, you should really just buy it. There's so much in here I'm not going to go over. I'm not going to give you guys all this book here. You're going to have to go out and support Vegard and buy it. $20, Amazon, free shipping. That's what I got it for. Anyways, it was, not surprisingly, tradition to decorate with birch leaves at this time as well. Naturally, the end of the sowing season was an important mark. The seeds were laid in the ground, the plows were taken off the horse, the salmon were back in the rivers, and the summer had begun. It was time for progress and growth. That this festival was essential is not the least strange. The work that was now discontinued was to lay the foundations for all winter supplies, and in most ways were the prerequisites for the survival of the family and kin. During the forced Christianization of our territories, the day of fishing was dedicated to Saint Nicodemus, a Jewish scholar who was supposed to have visited Jesus at night. And there's, in parentheses here, there's some verses he cites here for you to check out. John 3:1, John 7:50, and John 19:39. I believe he means John is JN. I can't see it being anything else here. Anyways, Skóklafallsdagr be dedicated to Saint Erasmus, a Jew who was tortured and killed by the Romans in the 300s. Kolbjorn with the salmon, or should we rather say Thor with the salmon, be dedicated to Saint Columbia, hence the Norwegian Kolbjorn, Bjorn meaning bear. Saint Columbia was an Irish missionary responsible for converting Scotland to the Christian regime. Among other things, After the forced Christianization, the feast and the festival for the end of the sowing seasons were turned into Pentecost and filled with the Middle Eastern desert accounts of the sight of the Holy Ghost to the apostles and the form of tongues of fire in the sky. Yeah, that's much more believable than our original traditions here. Anyways, in addition, the festival was set for the church birthday. The natural element teachings, the natural elemental teachings were transformed into the story of God, Jesus, the Holy Spirit, forced baptisms, and Christians speaking in tongues. And another quote here. Ignorance can be cured, stupidity not. This is by Aristophanes. And then the next one here is not due to be read yet, but this is Sommersolheim, what St. Hans or St. John really is. The Midsummer Festival here. It should be around June 20th or 21st, I believe. But I'll definitely be reading this one for you guys because it's such a high point. I'll read it a good couple of weeks before it hits, so you guys get a good heads up on that one. Anyways, thanks for watching. Hopefully that was a good reading, and I want to excuse myself again for using some foul language at the beginning. I know, we're assuming we were all adults here, but this is another habit that I'm trying to get out of, so I hope you understand me on that. Now, that being said, I want to present myself professionally here. I'm not here just to banter on to random people on the internet. I'm here to try to help spread these things, these cultural things that connect us to who we are and our identities. And this is one reason why I make these instruments here. And it's an act of culture, I'm still learning how to play them, but the very act of making things like this, these crafts, it's like reaching into your past when you hold one of these and you play them. It'll wake something ancient in you. It's hard to explain. And I've heard similar people make this claim too. I did a video a while back on how to make one of those. It's a simple, cheaper one, and it's on my BitChute channel. I'm going to upload this video on YouTube and BitChute. For you people viewing on YouTube, be sure to check out my BitChute if you're interested. I go over a lot of things on there that I wouldn't want to post on YouTube because I feel like it would just get me kicked off of YouTube. So there's a lot of things on there that you might find interesting, including the do-it-yourself, how to build a lyre. And it was made out of really cheap materials, and several people that I know of made one. And one person showed me theirs. It was pretty nice. But anyways, this is why I do this, is for culture. And these things bind us to who we are. It sharpens our identity and grounds us to who we are. So, well, this is a big problem I see today with these younger people, and even people that were in my generation when I was young. You have the kids who don't even know their ancestry, especially in the United States, and they don't have any connection to themselves. They go off of consumerism. They get their culture from, MTV and hip-hop music, and it's a mess. It's a clusterfuck. Excuse the language, but it is. So anyways, that's just one of the many reasons why I do this. So again, please just go out and support Vegard. He does amazing work, and it's only $20, and this is a really good book to have on your shelf. Very well grounded. It's all very... It seems to be unbiased. It seems to be straightforward, and I've read things like some books on Also True, and these seem to more so be personal interpretations of certain authors, and I'm not really against that. There is something to be said for that, but at the same time, this is just kind of straightforward, almost like you're reading the Poetic Edda. It's just kind of what it is, and but hey, at least this one's written by a pagan, right? So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope you guys I hope you guys are interested in hearing more about this sort of stuff. And thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate it. Um, you guys have a good one, and stay safe out there. And thanks for being my subscribers, and be well.